Hey there YouTube. So I'm starting this video off a little bit different than normal, and the reason for that is I wanted to show you guys this PDP Afterglow controller that I've had for, I can't remember when I actually got this, but it's been quite some time. And as you can see, the controller in itself is not in the best of shape. Thumbsticks, you know, the rubber on the thumbsticks is missing, the plastic piece at the bottom is missing, and you could say it's in a pretty shitty state. So what actually happened was the original controller that I actually use on a daily basis is a Power 8 controller. It's a wired controller, and it was a cheap controller that I picked up, and it just died on me last night while I was playing online, and you know, it just died on me. And it's not the fault of the controller. The controller in itself, you know, for what it's worth, has lasted me longer than I actually expected it to last, and I would say that controller did well. But anyway, regardless of, you know, how well it's made, it just died on me. So I started looking at, I started thinking about, what I could do, and I remembered that I had this PDP Afterglow controller lying around somewhere. So the story with the PDP one is basically I actually got it as a spare controller, and when my official Xbox One controller gave up, I would use it, and I tried using it for, games like Tekken, and to be honest with you, you could say it did fairly well with first-person shooter type games like Call of Duty and even Gears of War. It did well on Gears of War 4 as well. But what actually happened was something happened to the thumbstick, to the left thumbstick actually, and it wasn't working properly. So I stopped using it, and then I just kept it as something to keep my 2-year-old occupied. Now my 2-year-old, whenever he would see me gaming or any of my other kids gaming, he would obviously want the controller. So I would just give him this, and as you can imagine what any 2-year-old would do, throw it here, throw it there, do this, do that, put it in the mouth, and, saliva and everything. So it's pretty safe to say that this controller has actually been through quite a lot. But when I powered it up last night, I was actually really shocked to see that it still works, even though it's been through hell with my 2-year-old. And somewhere down the line, I actually opened it up. I can't remember what exactly I was trying to do. I think I was trying to take the thumbsticks out and put it into another controller that I had. But the thumbsticks in the PDP controller are different in design than the official, so you can't swap them out and put them into a normal one. So anyway, as you can imagine, to my surprise, the controller was working. So I thought to myself, you know what? Props to PDP for making a solid controller, and I thought I'd make a quick little video in showing you guys, even though the controller is in such a bad state, that it's still functioning really well, and I can still play Tekken online on it. I mean, some of the moves are a bit difficult to do given the state of the controller, but all in all, it's actually working really well, and I'm actually really surprised at how well it's it's performing. But yeah, it's it's safe to say that this is a very, very durable controller, very durable. Now, if you guys are in the market to pick up a spare controller or just a second controller, I would highly recommend this one, definitely, because to me, I don't know, I mean, you might get it, you might fling it across the room and it might, you know, break into, you know, 1,000 pieces and not work, but the way it feels to me, the way they've, you know, the way it's constructed, it feels really solid. You can try using as much force as you want to move this, you know, side to side, and you won't get any movement. It's really, really, really solid. And as you can see, it's functioning pretty well. And for the condition that it's in, that's what really surprises me. And I mean, believe me, I mean, there's only so much I could do to explain to you, you know, what this controller has been through. But believe me, I know my kid, and my kid's nickname is Hurricane. He's like the Tasmanian devil. He goes into a room, boom, it's all gone. And he had this controller for a long time until he realized, you know, until he got a bit clever and realized that it's not actually switched on. Then he would want something that was switched on. But yeah, you know, from the video that I've made, the short, you know, video that I've made, you can see, you can tell by, you know, the state that it's in. It's not in the best of state, or the best of condition, I should say. But regardless of its condition, it's still, you know, functioning. Yeah, the thumbsticks, you know, I mean, I'm not really sure. The right thumbstick seems to be functioning okay, but the left thumbstick is basically, you know, out of service. Only good for, you know, minimum use in games where, you know, the left thumbstick isn't really used that much. But in games like Call of Duty, where you have to actually click in the thumbstick to, you know, make your character dash or run, it doesn't really work. The clicking, the L3 button, I think it's called, yeah, L3 doesn't work. But the D-pad, the buttons, and everything else seems to be working. Even the shitty little LEDs work as well. The rumble motors, the rumbling, you know, thing, the vibration, only one works. I don't know why the other one doesn't work. The one thing that I don't really like about this controller, well, two things, is one, the way they've designed the buttons. The buttons feel a bit strange. They feel smaller, and they feel like they're a bit too. I'm just gonna reach up to it and see if I can. Yeah, I don't know. The buttons, they feel like they're more sort of. They don't pop out as much, and they feel kind of cheap. And the size of them is slightly smaller than the official controller. And the other thing what I don't really like about this controller is the D-pad. The D-pad, now with me and controllers, the D-pad has to be, you know, just right. If it's a little bit up, a little bit out, it's not for me. It's got to be nice and smooth and flush. Well, kind of flush, not too flush, obviously. But those are the only things that I dislike about this controller. Everything else, you know, was functioning properly. And as you can see from the footage, it's working fine, and you know, it's doing better than I actually expected. So I just wanted to make this, you know, video just to give props to, you know, Afterglow, and you know, for making a solid controller. And it is really solid. It is really solid. I've got to give it to this controller. It's probably the most solid controller I've ever had. And I've had, you know, so many official controllers. I've had so many third-party controllers. I've also had the Xbox, the very first Elite controller. I've had that. I've had the old Xbox One controllers, and I've also had the newer version of the Xbox controllers, and I've also had the Razor Wolverine Tournament, Ultimate Tournament Edition, whatever the hell it's called. I've had that controller as well, and by far, in my opinion, that was probably the worst controller I've ever had. First off, it's very flimsy. It doesn't really, I mean, it feels quality, but for some reason it stopped working after a very short period of time. And I didn't even really put that controller through hell. This PowerA controller that I picked up from Amazon for £20. Yeah, it was about £20. I think it's called the PowerA Enhanced Controller. You know what, I'll just check up on Amazon.
Round 3. Fight!
Yeah, it's called the PowerA Enhanced Wired Controller. Details. Yeah, 19.99. 19.99. And I first purchased this on the 31st of July, and that controller ended up getting a fault, and just exactly 1 month, it lasted 1 month, and then they sent me a replacement on the 20th or 21st of August, and so from the 21st of August till now, that controller has actually been functioning really well. Now, the bad thing about the PowerA Enhanced Wired Controller is it feels really cheap, and it's very flimsy. You could hold this controller and just put a bit of effort into, you know, turning it into, you know, just grabbing it and forcing your hands in different directions, and you will feel it flex. But the Afterglow PDP controller, you know, it's made from really hard plastic, and there's no flex in it. There's no movement. But regardless of how much flex this PowerA controller has, to me, I would say the way it, I mean, if you wasn't to flex it, obviously it's not, you know, designed to be flexed, but if you was to just get it and just play it, you know, it functions almost as good as a official Xbox One controller. The only downside to it is that it's wired, but it comes with a pretty decent quality micro USB cable. So yeah, this is Critical Q signing off. I thought I'd make a quick little video regarding this controller. If you guys are in the market, you know, just to get a spare controller, or if you need another controller and you're not really bothered about whether it, you know, be a official controller or not, and you just want to play games like Tekken or whatnot, then I would recommend the PDP Afterglow controller. And hit like, subscribe, support the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next video.
Yeah!